from Microtech Global Foundation today. I respected Sir, respected Director General, Mr. Vijay Pagi, our all faculty members on board, all senior faculty members, and Mr. Akram Hawk from the foundation itself. And of course, a warm welcome to all the students out here. So today we are going to have an interaction with Dr. Sekhar on defense and on agriculture and agriculture-based industries during the post-COVID period. This is mainly to help you with your general management program that you are proposing to do very soon. And this is a 100 marks project, which you all know. So I'm sure each one of you is going to take this very seriously. Our Dr. Sekhar is going to guide our students through the project, and his team is also going to help us and monitor and mentor our students during the coming months. So I request now Dr. Vijay Pagi to please introduce Dr. Sekhar and proceed the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Dr. Tandon. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Dr. Sekhar, sir, Dr. Haq, our distinguished faculty here, Gupta, sir, Finani, Madam, Nitin, Professor Nitin Kulkarni, all our administrative staff, and most important of all, our dear students of the third SEM, now going into the fourth SEM, awaiting the launch of the projects that they have to do. Our Sekhar sir, as you are aware, every student has to do 3 major projects as a part of completion of the MMS degree. One of the major projects that they have to do is in the general management area. Therefore, last year and year before last, we had requested you and you were very kind to help us. This year again, you have agreed to help us in a chosen area of defense and agro industries. Before I go to the subject, I heartily welcome you, sir, and Dr. Haq. You have been at this holding webinars all over the country, more than, I don't know how many, more than 50 odd conferences, webinars you have held from February. And I compliment you and your foundation for this wonderful task. In these difficult times, reaching out to people is very difficult. And you have done that. You have done that across thousands of people in India and thousands of people abroad. So I'm here with complimenting on behalf of MET, Schools of Management and Mumbai Educational Trust, our colleagues, our distinguished trustees, and from the students for the wonderful task that you've undertaken. Sir, you have been at this social and societal development work for a very long time. Dr. Sekhar is now the founder chairman of Microtech Global Foundation. But this is only a part of the activities that he has been doing in the last 5 decades, as I know him for more than 4 decades. He has worked, an eminent engineer, he has worked in government. He was the managing director, he was the CEO of a company called Meltron in government of Maharashtra. That was about 2.5 decades ago. That is the time when he worked and I had the occasion to work with him that time. Then from Meltron, he went on to government of India and set up the first software development parks in the country. You see, there are so many of them, but he has laid the foundation and he has been in this and the telecom consulting line all these years. He's done wonderful work. And today we are with him through the Global Microtech Foundation, which is doing the humanitarian task of taking the platform of secured governance across the sector. It is his philosophy. He's written 100 books on that. How secured governance is the key to development of a country. Because if there is secured governance, then the inflow of funds, development of infrastructure, and further progress of the nation is assured. And I'm sure sometime he has already talked to us earlier, he'll talk to us again on how secured governance is the Guru Tattva, the key for development of a nation. In that context, today, sir, we are requested you and you have kindly consented to share your thoughts on the defense sector and the agro industries. Defense sector, as we all know, dear students, 10 lakh crores are to be spent during the next 5 years. another 10 lakh crores in another 5 years. So defense sector expansion in India is going to be unbelievable. And remember, majority of the products of the defense industry are being produced and will be produced in India. Foreign companies are being invited. With 74% equity, they will come to India and produce the tanks, the armored cars, the missiles, and what have you. It is already, we have a very well developed defense sector, but primarily in the public sector. Of course, Mahindra's, L&T and Tatas are there coming into it, and the Adanis. But now during the last 5 years, there is tremendous push being given. And that opens us opportunity for our students to look at defense sector as a prospective area, both for job opportunities, for study and research work, as well as innovation. For example, the border is full of problems as far as espionage and drones are concerned. So there's tremendous scope just in the area of development of drones. He would uncover that tremendous potential during his talk. Also, agro industries, as we found during the lockdown, all that we need is a bit of connectivity and food. So food industry also got a tremendous boost. It's on the expansion like the pharma industry. So today, sir will focus on these two and how you can do projects, and those projects which industry will look for. He will also try and help us connect with industries as the time progresses. So without further ado, I would welcome you, sir. Thanking you and Mr. Dr. Haq for your kind gesture of reaching out to students. They are eager to hear, and I'm sure whatever you speak today will be words of wisdom which they will cherish. And dear students, remember, every word that he speaks is more than 100 marks as far as exams are concerned. So handing over to you, sir. Dr. Sekhar, please take over, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Pagi and the colleagues in MET. It's a pleasure, of course, as it was introduced. This is the third year or so I am interacting with you and your students. More than 200 students are doing their MMS in their best possible way as Bombay University students. Now, of course, I was said that because of the marks they have to take interest. I believe that students should take interest much more because it is need of the hour for their own benefit and for the benefit of the country and benefit of the world, rather than only for the marks. Marks should be there. Marks need not be the only criteria for them to take interest in this. So what I will do, instead of spending too much time on I will directly go to the presentation because this is a long presentation. I was told that this is on, the topics are two. First, I thought I have called this the MMS 2020 Research Internship for project work on smart and secure governance hubs for agriculture, defense, security. Defense includes security. Now, this is a very, very important slide for you all. Now, as students, you all should know, because many of us are fed with the information that we are an underdeveloped country. We are a 70-year young country which is trying to grow, and so on and so forth. Please note that we are a 10,000-year-old civilization, which is the oldest in the world, with many of our languages which are far, far above all the other languages. And on all the sectors, the contribution from India has been at the topmost level. Okay. Now, this was something which has been more the thing in today's environment, because today some of the topmost CEOs in the biggest of the companies world over are Indians. Like we were joking that if something like a beauty contest takes place, Miss World comes, almost 10 or 20 other countries are represented by Indians. Now, in topmost hierarchy in UK, USA, New Zealand, the ministers and prime minister level people are all Indians. Okay. But this should not go to our head. Of course, we should not suddenly feel that we are ruling the world. Please do not do that mistake at all. Okay. We are never ruling the world. We are always contributing to the world's growth. That is something which, as Indians, as this thing, we should be very clear in our mind. We are never ruling. We are never, overriding anybody. But we are there to contribute for the world's growth, and India will automatically grow. So With that confidence built in, let us understand. This slide may come once or twice, so I will tell different parts of it as we go further. When we look at India as a country, we all should know that we are a very, very complex entity. Okay. We are not as simple as any other countries in the world, even the country which is even bigger than us, like China. We are a country, even though as a country, when you see, we are almost 206 countries put together. Okay. We have got almost 3 million square kilometers area on the land and an equal amount on the sea around India. Just remember that EEZ, economic zone, is almost same as our land area. Because this all gives rise to, especially when you're talking about defense and agriculture, they have their own connotation. Okay. So because there is this much land available, this much people available, then we always hear there is no land, no water. We are all short of land, we are not short of water. Please note that we as Indians occupy only 0.42% of India's land. Remaining 96% is free. Okay. So there is a feeling of, something is not there. Even water is there for even 10 times, 100 times today's population also, water is there. Only land and water may not be there at the right place at the right time. In Bombay, if you want another 10 acres of land, yes, it is not there. Of course, Bombay also we occupy only 20%. Remaining are all reserved areas which we cannot touch. Same way, we are complex in terms of our, culture, in terms of languages, in terms of religion, but there is no other country which is more coexisting than India, even though media tries to put it the other way. Now, one or two small sentences about COVID, because nothing can be complete in today's case without the, talking about COVID and its implication. Now, as COVID, it has brought us to the knees, okay, the negative portion. Even a positive man like me has to agree that COVID has brought down the economy, brought down people's confidence, brought down everything. But as intelligent management students, you also should know that COVID itself in India has affected only 0.4% of India's population. Okay, total population affected is only 0.4%. And even among that 0.4%, 1% of the 0.4% or 1 or 1.5% have died. Okay. So, but the fear created is as if, 90% of us are affected and we are all waiting for vaccine to come and we are all, absolutely the thing, hospitals are full, not the thing. But we can't help it. When something is said, reality is a mob fear has been created. A small ant has been made into a biggest scorpion or biggest thing. And we have to live with it. We just cannot wish away that fear which it has done. But when it has happened like this, again, coming back to our subject, this is like a World War III. Okay. In world wars, we generally fight with an enemy which is seen and we destroy each other. In a world war, we means I'm sure India will never fight with anybody, but any two entities fighting. And World War III, yes, India did fight. Okay. So in World War III, we are fighting against an enemy which we do not know. We are fighting against something which is too small to be of any consequence. And there is no bullets find, no destruction of physical infrastructure, but there is destruction of economy, there is a destruction of confidence. So, but what is the outcome of general world war? World wars have always given rise to huge amount of prosperity post-World War. Okay. Every world war has given rise to industrial revolution, information revolution, technology revolution, and so on and so forth of various grades. So you as students should know that this world war also is going to give you new opportunities, as much as some of the existing opportunities are not going to exist, who we do not know. So you all have to be mentally and otherwise totally be prepared of what is going to happen. Now, before closing the Indian slide, another small fact which all of you should know, which I generally say is, we as Indians, such a number game which should be built in everybody's mind is, every day about 75,000 Indians are born, and every day about 27,000 Indians die, independent of anything. Okay. Of course, 30% die on a cruel way, another 70% die in the natural death, whatever we call natural. Okay. So that being the case, we should know that we are growing as a country. That is why we always say that we bring one Australia stroke Canada every year. We almost are up by 20 million people at the end of every year. So which again means that at the end of every year, we have to bring 20 million new jobs for 20 million who are born maybe 20, 25 years back. So that being the case, we have a lot of pressures on our own, because of the circumstantially we are growing at a good rate. Because again, coming to one more small fact, we as Indians we were 350 million people at the time of independence. Today we are 1.4 billion people, almost 850 million people we added. Okay, good or bad, we do not know. Now, as management, again, when you look at it, if it is good, if you want to make it good, make it as a market. That means I am giving 20 million more market every year, which means, there is a significance, you are aware of the word valuation. The valuation goes up. But if you feel we have to feed 20 million extra, we are dead, we are gone. It is all negative. So now some of these things are all about education. I will not go too deep. Just to give you the confidence that, we are all in for a huge success. We are all in for a good market. We are all in to support various sectors. Two sectors we will talk a little more in detail. Now, industry and this thing, since you're all going to be quite deeply involved in industry, this presentation, I leave it with you, because if you go slide by slide, even this much time won't be sufficient. So you should know what does the industry expect, and we should also know what the academic expects, because as students, you are caught in between. Academic will say, this is a code, this is a mark, this is what you have to do. Industry will say, no, I require something. And sometimes every industry also talk different language, and they think they are ending on. So as students, you are like a girl married to a family which has got two different background. So like that, academy thinks in some way, industry thinks in some way, and both are conditioned. But as students, you have to understand that both are important to you. Academy, industry, because even when I showed you the first slide, all those guys who are today CEOs of major companies have studied in one of Bombay University and other universities in India. And they are today running on top on the most competitive world and the most competitive circumstances. So we have to appreciate that academy teaches you certain things in certain way because it is needed in that way. And industry expects some way because of, then see the benefits, industry has certain benefits if you do in certain things in certain way, because they are out for every minute something new is being done, something new is being competed. There are certain stakeholders which expect something. All those things you'll never think when you're an academy. Academy syllabus so-and-so, this so-and-so, this is what is the mark for, and what am I going to do? Whereas as industry, there's no marking, no nothing. Marking is something which is by the benefit of the users. So some of these things, please have a look as you go ahead, independent of the subject which we are going to talk in another few minutes time. And there is a collaboration mechanism which at the DG level, they have to see how there can be good collaboration with the industry. And there also, I have a small formula that, every student, when he comes, he should be on the day one only should be associated with some industry nearby. Industry could even be a nearby shopkeeper. And same way, even each of them should be registered with you. So that, there's an automatic feeling that in the 2 years of studies also, I belong to XYZ industry. But even independent of that, I'm sure this thing has got a very good collaboration. Now, while talking many of these things, this word kept on cropping up called secure governance. Okay. What is secure governance? Now, when we talk of India, such a massive, large country, for everything we need a lot of money. With so many people to be supported, we need a lot of money. For roads to be built, we need money. For any hub to be built, we need money. For defense to be there, like I said, it's easy to say 10 lakh crores to be not be more than what is the way the money should flow. So that is where this word secured governance comes into picture. Secured governance is a self-sustained economic growth. Okay. Where does that word sustained come, and where does the word self-sustained come? Now, as per definition, is harnessing untapped potential for potential of the nation, defining growth through convergence of multiple sectors, infrastructure development through with minimal government investment, setting up hubs, mini hubs, and nano hubs nationally. Okay. Simple definition. Okay. What does it mean? For a nation, there are a lot of untapped potential. Untapped potential is not gold lying within the ground. Untapped potential is a valuation which is created. When I talked initially of this 20 million people coming, 20 million people gives you huge valuation for the country. Asset or liability depends on the way you look at it. I am looking at it as an asset. When you look at the asset, it is a potential to be exploited. Okay. Same way, why in the bottom there's a small road which is there. Okay. Now, when the road is being built, for the government or for the developer, it is a liability because it's huge money goes in. Because money does not come in by all this toll process and all for next 20 years. Okay. How to make it an asset? How to make it an asset is the road gives huge value around the road. This is what secured governance comes in picture. The value around the road is so high that sometimes it is 100 to even sometimes 1,000 times. The property which was not even going at X amount will go at amount which are unbelievable. So when such a thing happens, today the road maker does not capture any other value. Okay, it goes through. In secured governance, we capture the value and make the road itself come free for the government. That means somebody else spends who gets the benefit. That's why there's two hubs which are planned and at the two corners. And these hub makers are given enough FSI and other sweeteners so that they can make the road itself free. Suppose 1,000 crore road is to be built. Those people will make 10,000 crores by that means the government has not put any money. Government has only given permission for building. That's all. Based on that, the road itself comes free. Remove the word road and make this your own institution. The moment your institution has come, huge values have been created around the institution. The institution itself has not captured any other value. In secure governance, it will automatically capture. It will automatically take some property around that value, sell it with time, so that as the valuation goes up, your own initial investment should come back by the sale of those properties. So same or similar way, different sectors have different way of defining secured governance. Right from a small billboard say as per secured governance, it is an asset to be capitalized. It is something which has a self-sustained economy. Since we will be talking about it on and off as we go to the actual topics, I will. So this is for something like an education hub, which I will not go into detail in today's talk. I'll go directly to defense sector. So there again, some of these things will come. So here I will not. Now, when I'm talking all these things, this has got a reasonable appreciation in India and abroad. Right from I was invited to Washington to meet senators with this for making a plan for US economy also. And after that, the letter has been given by one of the person who's called the smart city man of USA, that yes, this is something which is useful for the country. Same way, various other countries and in India, it is going in a reasonably good way. Sorry, defense sector. Now coming to defense sector, which is what is the first we are taking. Just a minute, it's going a little slow. Yeah. So as I said, some of the slides I will not discuss when I come again. Yeah. Now, as you know, in India is a very large country in its own dimension. You know that as per population, we are number 2, and as per size, we are number 7. But in defense spending, we are second to none. Of course, US, China come above us. India is the third in terms of defense and military budgets. So this is certain idea which you should have as you go forward, because once you come into actual reality, some of these things will form the background for your work. Of course, I have also listed the possible names of possible project which you all could do, both in defense and in agriculture. People, when they do, they can fine tune. They are all suggested names. It need not be frozen to the particular name only. And while doing all this thing, we should know what is the overview of that particular field, of that particular sector, and why are we doing what we are doing, and what is the way others country, because we are of course living in a world of multiple countries, multiple interests, multiple geopolitical situation. All those things has to be taken into account while planning this. So this is a snapshot of the India's defense field. So in that, India is the third largest armed forces, as you know. India's world's largest arms importer, unfortunately. Okay, that's what people like Professor Page and all are trying to come out of it. That we should make our own. Why should we depend on others? Because we have an intelligent set of people like you all, and we need not be the largest importer. In fact, later we should be one of the good exporters. Of course, defense export is not something which is good also, but yes, we should have at least not be a good importer, best importer. Okay. So now coming to defense corridor. Okay. Certain corridors have already been thought of by defense, and based on our secured governance, many new corridors are being thought of, are being experimented, are being analyzed, which includes, something of interest to all of you, which is Bombay-Nagpur Super Expressway. Okay. Now I will talk more in terms of Bombay-Nagpur rather than others, because Bombay-Nagpur is near to you all. And people like Professor Page has done extremely great work for Nagpur's growth and development. Now, in Bombay-Nagpur Super Expressway, as we go further, of course, this is the one which is already going on in the past, okay, where the defense investment cell proposals are there, in which many corridors have been approved. But in Bombay-Nagpur one is something which is more close to your own institute, because it is being coordinated by MSRDC, which is just 2 minutes walking from your place. And Professor Page has done a lot of great work for MSRDC for their own water management and how to get water for all these 24 hubs. Now, this Bombay-Nagpur Expressway is a 750 kilometers long stretch. I mean, what you all will be happy to know is that initially it was just not going through. For last almost 10, 14 years, this has been done. Then once we applied secured governance to this particular hub, they gave a formal letter to me saying that, why don't you do something? Then I proposed this 24 smart cities on the way. As luck would have it, the moment they started, immediately within 2 years, they could get the full 750 kilometers land. Otherwise, it was all, nobody was ready to give. Now they could see that once the cities are coming, their valuation is going to go up. So voluntarily, many of the farmers who are not, wouldn't, so nothing had to be done on a forceful way. Voluntarily, they came and gave. Now, some of them will be defensive, because you are not interested in the Bombay-Nagpur highway. Some of them will be defensive. Some of them will also be the agricultural hubs. Again, we will come after defense is over. Otherwise, the defense investor cell proposal, they are planning their own type of cells outside Maharashtra also, in many other parts of the country, in Tamil Nadu, in Uttar Pradesh, in Himachal Pradesh, and many other locations. And there again is a PPP model. Okay, there again the difference is normal PPP is public-private partnership, and what we call in secured governance is public-private participation. We change the word partnership to participation, because in partnership and participation differences, partnership you become lifelong entity. In participation, you do your job and go, next flow comes the moment the first person has done the job, which is more keen. By this, what will happen from our point of view is there's so much of blocked money in infrastructure because of the word partnership, because it becomes now I versus you syndrome. In participation, you do what you want and go. There is no loss of money. So participation is the one which I prefer. Now slowly that is also going through. Otherwise, most of them are on the same PPP model, partnership model. Now, as you all know, you must be reading, of course, more of an exaggerated view. But of course, there is a problem. What we require for defense and what is there on the ground, especially because we have too much of hostile, neighbors. So there's a huge requirement of defense, which as per secured governance, it will make it as a profit center rather than a cost center. Because once you make it as a cost center, yes, you need money on a one-way traffic. If it makes it a profit center, it becomes an ongoing affair. So in defense equipment, there is confidence of crisis. So defense industry at a glance is what is the thing. India is among the top 5 countries spending on defense. The top, India is the second largest army in the world. And of course, it is imports as number 1 imported from all countries. Basically more from USA, Israel, Russia, and even other countries are there. But India also export defense equipment, but only about 5 to 10% of what it really imports. So that is something which you all should know. And as young people, you all should say how to correct the situation. I know that as management graduates, you are not involved in the technology, but you all can also be an entrepreneur. You also can be involved in industries where goods are made. As big companies are there, which have got the capacity to do. The question of right management and right direction to make this happen. So this is something to do with some of the budgets which are there in defense, which you all can. I will not get into reading the numbers. So this is the operational numbers which you will require when you're making your own project reports. What are the budget allocated? Because of PPP model, what new money will come has to be evolved and calculated. And also exporter of things from various countries we are listing, because we are sitting in a global world where we should know what is happening around us. As share of GDP, this is what is the listed. The production under various PSUs of defense. Defense has got their own PSUs. Bell is one of them, with whom we will also try to collaborate, and we'll try to see what way it will help us. But like Bell, there are many other companies which we can seek support, where we can start working along with them, or after working, we can give it to them so that there is an acceptance of whatever is being done by a student. Because obviously, as a student, you may not be able to give what is actually required by the end user, but some input, some intelligent way of analysis, some intelligent way of projecting, intelligent way of making on the ground level plans would always be good. And there, I can try to ensure that you all meet the right set of people. Now, again, these are all there. Even the company which are involved, in the defense, they are listed. Aerospace of defense is one of the very, very big things. And as you know, Nagpur is one of the biggest place for aerospace. And there again, defense, Nagpur being the heart of India, as you know, center of India is in Nagpur. And Nagpur, a lot of things are happening. But again, as defense has got various requirements on various parts of the country. Defense means, yes, you are talking of Army, Navy, Air Force. Each has got its own thing. Navy has to take care of 7,500 kilometers of sea. An Army has to take care of 7,000, same amount of space on the north. And Air Force is multiple in both the places. So there are different priorities. And defense does much of its manufacturing through its own ordnance factories, which are all very well done, very well designed places. But when you go inside, you will feel that so many things can be done. Even some of you today, government job itself is not something bad. If some of you go there, you should know that you will be able to do quite much of good work. Now, growth drivers for defense is what is put here, because of the need, because of the various geopolitical situation, and because of, today Indians are good in new item, new technology, new development. We are second to none, and that is slowly being capitalized in the actual working. So that is what will be the defense growth drivers. Now, these are all the various industrial corridors around which this defense corridor also is coming up. Yes, even the imports will dramatically rise because use is dramatically rising. At the same time, local development also will dramatically rise in defense. So when we say defense hub, you all should know that why this hub is being created. Because in secured governance, of course, hub means it will not do only defense. The basic definition of secured governance is one sector will be the main sector. All other sectors will come around it. That means if there are 10 sectors being covered, one sector will take care of almost 50 to 60%. Remaining 40% will be spread over other sectors. The idea behind is so that commercially nobody loses. For some reason, the whole priority goes not in that particular sector. Some other sector will automatically take over. In previous places, many places, things have gone quite bad. Like many SCZs have failed, or many of this, hubs which are created are failed because they just put a compound wall and then they just did only that. And for some reason, if you have a tourist hub and tourists don't come, everything goes to dogs. In our secured governance system, the tourism will be there. Again, there'll be agriculture, education, transportation, everything will be around, but on a lower scale. The moment this is anywhere slightly going down, something else will pick up. So that, on the survival of the fittest level, something else which can survive, they will take care. Same way, when we are talking about defense hub, it will not be 100% defense only. It will have all other sectors. So that on any account, the commercial interests of the stakeholders are protected. Okay. Here again, topics I have put, these all topics you can go through. It's a random this thing, because Professor Page said that, let it end with the topics are there. I put about 25 different topics which are there, and the way you all want it, it can be changed, not this thing or something new. If students have got, if they can suggest, it'll all be there. You all can be feel free to interact with me through your local person. Okay. Now, while doing all this thing, you all should know that when I was introduced for making almost 100 over 100 books, they are all books which are generally the same. And the one which is on the right is a PhD, and see many people are doing the doctorate in this field of secured governance. And this book takes care of various aspects of if you will see, right side bottom is Indian border roads. It's also a book written. Blue economy has got a lot of defense oriented things. And so it has its own impact. And in defense, we are expecting quite many major hubs, mini hubs, nano hubs, and it will have almost 3 million people, $250 billion investment coming in picture. So which makes it working in its own way. This is apart from actual defense forces. These numbers of employment have nothing to do with the defense forces as such, how much the private industry can make. Okay. So these are all certain numbers which should be in the back of your mind. Now, let me go second to the, now I think I'll take a small break and ask Professor Page whether he has got any questions anyway. Of course, I'll answer it at the end only, but if it is there, I will be able to, make things go forward for two reasons. One is it may be too boring to have almost a 1.5 to 2 hour lecture. So the break is good for listeners also. And for Professor Page, I would be very happy to hear from him. And if necessary, Professor Sangeeta, if any comments, any methodology, any change we have to take. Professor Page.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, as I said in the introduction, your broad sweep of the subject is vast. The area that you have covered account for about 5% of GDP. That's what we are going to spend on defense this year. So there are vast areas. There are huge opportunities. Unfortunately, earlier defense was thought only to be the purview of the government of India. And all public sector projects are there. All ordnance factories are there. Around the ordnance factories, some sectors did grow. And some ancillarization has taken place. But now government of India has opened the entire thing, and international institutions as well as state private institutions would definitely be looking for opportunities. So I see the idea of defense hubs or defense sector subsidiary and support and ancillary industries as a huge potential. For example, if we are in Mumbai, I would expect some kind of approach from the Mazgaon docks. As we know, Mazgaon docks builds both the frigates, the stealth class frigates, type 1, type 4, type 5, all those categories, as well as the submarines. And both require huge amount of ancillary spare parts, auxiliaries, services. The requirement is on a broad scale, both in terms of personnel, know-how, training, and hard and software inputs and defense inputs. So one would be the approach to some approach to Mazgaon docks, and former Rear Admiral, Vice Admirals quite well. So students could take that help. And Mazgaon dock itself, now looking at the fact that they have built this 6 Scorpion submarine, and 6 more are to be built with collaboration from French Navy. Huge outlay. And they are going to build more and more stealth class ships. So their requirement will continue. So as on date, Mazgaon dock doesn't have any auxiliary or ancillary support zone. So somewhere near Mumbai on the Mumbai Nagpur highway, a naval defense oriented zone could be thought of. And Navy also requires all electronic products, whether it is missile control or fire control systems or anti-aircraft systems or the sonar devices. Everywhere the computer systems and IT support also is required. Mumbai has a huge support. Everything need not come from Bangalore. This is not to criticize what Bangalore has, but I think BEL, which is based in Bangalore, are supplying a lot of products from there. Some ancillaries could be developed. So between the Indian Navy, that is the Mazgaon docks, and BEL or a major supplier, this zone that we can think of can be a location for a secure governance driven um, of the defense sector zone near Mumbai on the Bombay-Nagpur highway. This could be one option. And some help would, the students could get to go across to Mazgaon docks. Now in Mumbai alone, we have the Mahindras, as I mentioned. Mahindras have a defense outfit. Though it is Delhi based, they have Mumbai office. Some help there. They are also looking for products and ideas. Then Tata's, they are now into going in a big way, both for helicopter manufacture and plane part equipment. They have signed up with Boeing, as we know. And so that could be another area. What happens is that all these large private sector behemoths have their own approaches. But if we put a fresh thought to them, I'm sure boys would work some kind of a preliminary paper and a help would be worthwhile. So maybe Tata's have put some options we give. The third biggest is L&T. L&T is building, as we know, is building armored vehicles. It's building the Bofors equivalent of F-77 that is already supplied. That gun is supplied. So they are also in building of corvettes and Coast Guard vessels. So that also is going on. So they also have office and headquarters in Mumbai. Maybe something that they need could be thought of. They also have electronic and IT technology as support system. That could be another area where our boys could work. So Mahindras, though Delhi based, Mumbai they have. Mahindras have also, they are specializing, of course, in building of vehicles. And the Indian equivalent of Humvee has already been developed, as we know. It's in the testing department of Government of India. And all the vehicles of Tata's, of Mahindras also are developed here in Mumbai. So that could be some approach from them. Next, we go to Nashik. Nashik has Hindustan Aircraft Limited, the HAL assembly plant. And they also, unfortunately, there is not much of defense hub which has come up. But being on the Bombay-Nagpur highway, something on those lines, because the highway goes from very close to the city. So these are ideas for development of vertical and horizontal linkages. And once the students do the basic groundwork, they could also be connected. Another small thought I want to share, and that's where I would dig, that in our institute itself, we have a lot of faculty who are very keen in defense types. Where Dr. Professor Gupte has been a strategic advisor to various units, and Farida Madam and Madam Tandon both have international contacts in that area. We have an engineering specialist with Nitin Kulkarni, and all other internal strengths are definitely with us. So I would give an example of a US university, which I want to share with you. What they did was they set up a kind of a platform just for addressing the solutions required by the defense. They were not by any chance electronics or IT experts. They were just interested in providing solution. And believe me, they were given one problem, sir. That was the famous Trident class submarine in the US. Their problem was that they were not able to identify what is known as friend or foe mechanism in the given time. That means if there is an anti-submarine or anti-equipment device to be loaded and fired, because it is not always done in that position, it takes about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So within that time, the friend or foe identification has to happen. But this was a challenge, and the engineers were struggling with it. It was given to one, a think tank like this of a US university. And could you believe what solution they gave? It's unbelievable. They said, look, all the computers that you have and people poring over that are facing in one direction, and there is a central screen. He said, why is it that way? Why can't the spotters be sitting across each other? and behind them they have mirrors. So every time, every spotter is able to see every movement across the screen. And believe me, that solution is adopted by Typhoon, by the Trident class submarine. So it is not that solutions will not come; they will come. But I think we need to, as a back-end preparation of that, and I would request our faculty members, including Professor Gupte, Pirani, and Madam, to think of something at the student level so that they also keep generating ideas. And that is how the solutions are possible for defense sector. They need not, as you rightly said, come only from the hardcore tech areas. There are so many areas where because in every ship, in every aircraft carrier, there are hundreds of humans which are there. There's so many problems. Sequencing, simple thing like if you have 3,000 people on Virat, how do they take breakfast, lunch, dinner 4 times a day? That itself in a pantry can be a line solution. So queuing theory can be applied. So like this, there are a number of issues. So I'm sure, sir, as a backend, we also will try and build up a kind of a platform between faculty and students to address areas pertaining to defense sector and the agri sector, which will come up. And this platform, yeah, as my colleague says, we can apply design thinking approaches to these problems. And design thinking is the in thing, and we can all break our heads together, get the best people from the academia to interact. This could be one area that we could think of. We have some connectivity with Niti Aayog through Professor Gupta. We can get that input also. And all these problems at the conceptual level, at the I would say at the managerial level could be tackled here. The technology will take care of it. So, sir, we would, as a backend, try and work on that and expect these students to form a permanent group here. So, as batches go in and out, the study continues. I think our students can therefore look very hopefully at these prospects. Hopefully, the design thinking and other solutions could come in. The Niti Aayog connectivity would come in. And we will continue to address these problems beyond the project scope, as you mentioned, because preparation of project is a one-time affair. But then this thought process will continue. And through that, the future jobs in defense sectors may be opened up. This is my hope and prayer. So any other colleagues, Farida Badani has already mentioned this. If any other colleagues' thought inputs are there, we will try and consolidate them. And as you proceed with the talk, we'll come back. So students, I hope you are able to connect with this. This is a huge sector. It's a massive elephant, but every part of the elephant is functional. And together, we can conceive how the giant functions. So over to you, Sekhar, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Now, one or two minor comment before I go to agriculture sector. Now, one is that, you talked about Mazagon Dock. I'm in touch with Mazagon Dock for setting up something like a defense hub in Dronagiri. Dronagiri is in New Bombay. And we found that the last 2-3 CMDs have been very closely interacting with me. We found that Mazagon Dock has got almost 90,000 crores of order. And because of short of space, they are giving 9 years as their time of delivery, just because they don't have space. So I have suggested to them, shown them, there's a place called Dronagiri in New Bombay, which across the sea it is only 9 kilometers. If you go via the other way, it comes to about 25-30 kilometers. So in principle, they are okay, they are considering. And no, why I'm also saying it is, of course, a policy decision, which has to go to the highest level. But as student level, these type of ideas can also be part of the project. These are all public data. Nothing I'm saying is anything confidential. Anybody who the site, all these things are available. So we can simulate and tell them that why you should be Dronagiri or whatever we feel it should be there. Even if it's not accepted, your mindset goes through. On the similar level, there's one more thing where we should know that when we talk of defense, you only talk in terms of, army, navy and all. But we are forgetting that every child likes to play with something to do with a defense-oriented item as a plaything. Okay. We should not lose track of the market for that. That's again a virtual market, but a real-life virtual market. It may not go directly to defense. So people like you, even few other students should do projects on that also, that, what are things we can do. See, how did China become whatever it is in the last 15, 20 years? It addresses the problem right at your Ganesh Chaturthi festival. What sort of Ganapati idols India likes, what sort of lighting India likes, what sort of this like, what sort of way a smallest, even when I'm sitting here, maybe there's a lamp, I don't know whether the Chinese made or this made. These type of things they concentrate on. And students should think of ideas which will take care of keeping defense as a view. Defense does not mean you should only give it to soldiers and, Navy people. Defense can even be to a child, which will be shown that this is the way it should be done, how the way it should be done, how a small, this thing, other than the negative portion of killing portion of the defense, just all things one can do in terms of the defense. So, which I think, now I'll go to agriculture.
One extremely small intervention, sir. So you will be surprised now that you have mentioned that most of the defense sector employees, from the army, they carry one or two toy images of, for example, somebody who's in the armed forces will keep an AK-47 replica, small in the toy section. Somebody in the Air Force will keep a MiG-21 or now MiG-29. Now, you will be surprised that itself is a huge market.
Correct.
Making defense toys, for example, everyone would like to have a toy of the BrahMos that we are firing and talking about it. Everyone would like to have all those new missiles that are Rudra and others being talked of. And these are, after all, toys. The toy market of defense product itself could be a huge thing. For example, all these Scorpion submarines that they made, they of course have their models. Somebody has to just explore this, and everyone would like to have. Why is it every time that we only have a flower pot of the flowers of which we don't change? I imagine there are 3 million households in Mumbai. So I think that defense toys could be a very attractive area, and we can start with Navy because they have all the defense naval products there on defense. With their approval, it can be do. I think boys could. I find that in all the studies that we have had, nobody has worked on defense toys. We are only toying with defense. There are no defense toys which we have made in this country. I think that could be another area our students could open. And your suggestion for the Dronagiri is simply wonderful. I think we will take that up also.
And
Thank you.
So may I add to this?
Sure.
The video games that children play of all range, the kids to the elders, they are playing with the video games all based on defense, attack, and defense.
Very true.
The most popular one is that PUBG.
Yes.
So
PM also mentioned that. Correct.
Big scope for this commercially.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they open huge Indian market, international market. See, today, even so many 25 million Indians are abroad. Even if they see something like whatever BrahMos is working like, they all would like to have it.
Yes,
Indian is an Indian.
It's like exploring, sir, it's exploring emotions related to patriotism.
Yeah,
that is also something that perhaps, would take the sale of these small toys a long way, because we always see flags on 26th Jan or 15th August. It's just flags that we see that are being sold. But if we have these toys, replicas, or maybe some, video games like how ma'am mentioned, that could be a huge entrepreneurship, opportunities that our students could release.
Yeah, I mean, also, giving them ideas. For example, we have the Tejas design, Tejas 1 and Tejas 2. And there is the Gripen, the equivalent. And there, of course, the F-37 and other aircraft. So all these toys, they could make their own ideas and how the design can take place. Though avionics is a very sophisticated area, even silliest of solutions can be worthwhile. That's something which can be taken up. So through toy as something before the eyes of the child, you never know. He or she may one day design the missile that you are thinking of. So introducing this, and every child I know, even today, if you bring a car the youngest of the kids lap at it. It's not that the car runs, but the very idea that mom, pop are driving it and I'm also using it is wonderful. So I think this could be a new thought that
because for that there is no need of any permission from anybody. Unlike other, there'll be.
Lovely, but I'm surprised why why there are no such defense productions, defense toy productions in the country.
Maybe it was waiting for this program to be.
Yes. Thank you. I think that could be one outcome. Madam, बच्चों को बोल देते हैं, सब toys बनाइए, And instead of just toying with defense, you make defense toys.
Yeah, very
And
true.
And
It's a
this is
huge
going to
market,
ignite,
and also psychologically, it is something which gives you a good feel of the country's
this
defense.
would yes, this would
So now
definitely
coming to
ignite patriotism between
lovely,
amongst the kids and the youth,
wonderful,
of course.
wonderful.
so let me
Thank you,
come
sir.
to
This is a good
Thank
thought that has come, and we'll work on that. Thank you, sir.
agriculture.
Sir, go ahead, please.
Now, agriculture, as we all know, is a much vaster field than defense, and it has got its own. Of course, about India again, I will not go into depth. As you know, India started off as almost as a 90% agricultural country. Now we are anywhere between 50 to 60%. And as you know, also that in today's pandemic situation, agriculture is the only thing which is going forward without any stop. Otherwise, we are all eating. Otherwise, every other industry, including academics, including defense, have got hit in which is unfortunate. Not that we are proud of it, but in agriculture, yes, we have to see our own thing from the world ranking point of view. Because we are, after all, a large country having a very, very good base. And here again, we should know that from the past, unfortunately, when British left us, they left us from almost a 30% GDP country to 2%. They made it. They made us like COVID. They brought us to the knees by the time they went from us. Because of that, even the average age of an Indian was only 27 years. Imagine average age of an Indian 27 years. Now, in 70 years, today the average age is almost 67. Okay, we are refusing to die now, 70 years. Okay, so that is giving rise to its own opportunities, its own plus point. Not that we want people to die, but its own problems. Because we are refusing to die, there are more people to be fed, more people to be taken care, more people to be, more people are there to contribute for the growth of the country. So all these things also credit goes to agriculture, because the agriculture again was highly imported. Can you believe rice and wheat used to be imported from other countries? Today we are one of the biggest exporters of agriculture. In agriculture, yes, even a small onion goes out of place in India. 25 countries are affected, and which is not true. When we got independence or near that phase of post-independence area, today we are having very good agricultural output. But again, because of our population growth, because of our way our expectations are there, there's an opportunity to do a lot of good things. Like in defense, we'll also hopefully come to some dramatic conclusion as we go forward. Okay. Now, these are all few slides which you all should know. The total area, India and of course globally, both I have tried to put. Now globally, it is huge, 136 million square kilometers. And in India, it is 3.2 is of course the area of India. Now agricultural land, as you know, is 1.1 million square kilometers, and world is 49. Forest area is X. We can see what this world is 39 square kilometers, and India is 6 lakh square kilometers, and other land which is there. Now, why this particular small thing which I have added is because this is what is going to be the core for agriculture. Agriculture is going to come from this area, and agriculture has got a lot of side things, as you know, things which are done, especially by in India. That's why I and few more people are trying to make India as a food factory for the world. Because the diversity of the Indian food, nobody has got, including our famous China. Okay, so the amount of, but Chinese food are more popular than Indian food. Indian food is also good popular, but they are ranking little above Indian food. Any Indian restaurant anywhere in the world, it is always houseful and full of foreigners relishing the food. So which means we got something very special, whether it is south, north, east, west, you go anywhere, even though some of them are more famous than the others, it is not limited to them. That just the word achar, there are thousands of achars. I also, if I say that, even I believe I'm exaggerating, but I know in fact on the ground, there are so many things. Same way when we say masala, why was the so-called West wanted to come to India? Why did UK, why did British and Spanish and Portuguese and others were the same? That is for the Indian spices. Indian spices is part of agriculture. So just the spices which has gone into them through some monks and through somebody who had by mistake they have gone, and it was so tasty and so good that they wanted to venture into the land, which is the land which is making this type of spices. Now, when we talk of agriculture, also we should know that agriculture has giving rise to agromedicine. Agromedicine is more oriented to Ayurveda. Okay, and they are all today highly respected, highly expectations are absolutely on the higher level. I mean, Ayurveda and yoga put together constitute almost 80 to 90 billion dollars in USA. Okay, they are all part of your agree. Okay, of course, yoga is slightly indirectly connected, may not be directly connected to agriculture, but yes, they are all together as an Indian
Sir.
contribution to the health of the world. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that once we have that land of so much is there, how to use a land to make it much more user friendly, user competent, and the way it can give maximum productivity. Agriculture is the primary source of livelihood for 50% of 58% of India's population. Okay, 100% depends on agriculture for sure. Okay, whether we like it or no. Whereas any other sector, yes, somebody will say, I don't like X, I don't like sports, I don't like defense, I don't like tourism, anything can say. But agriculture, everybody has to eat. It's a question of whether we live to eat or eat to live. In either way, we have to, food has to come. So agriculture has that importance in the life of everybody. Even a person who is on fast, somehow at least starts having maybe water or something to keep him alive. So that being the case, agriculture has to be seen. Various tastes are there, various ways of cooking is there, various ways of preservation is there, various ways of transportation is there, various ways in which it can be mixed and mixed and so on and so forth. Today, so much of work has gone that many of the vegetables we don't even know that this existed few years back because they're all crossbreeds which are coming, and they are all very good and healthy. Okay, so that being the case, we should know that we are even though we say we are 58% agriculture oriented people, everybody needs an agriculture, and then we have got gross value added is 19.4 trillion, of course, Indian rupees. That is almost 276 billion dollars. And agriculture and allied have got a gross value added of almost 4.8%. And these are all some numbers which I thought you all should know, especially when you are making a management report. Please always remember that we have to give the foreground and background to the whole report. The whole core of any report would only be 20%. Remaining 80% will be all the others. And even among the 80%, there should be another 30% of the core competence. The all should be your understanding of what we are talking, why we are talking, how we are talking, has to be put in any management reports. Many people feel I did X, so I will just expand only on that. Then nobody gets a feel. Or somebody else says, no, I'll put only others and put one sentence of what I have done. That is absolutely not acceptable. Whatever you are doing, just like secured governance, whatever you are doing, 40% minimum should be your hardcore thing, 60% maximum. And there, 40% has to be overall, the 20% can be this way or that way. Either you can put overall a little more and put core 40% in a nice effective way, but never put more than 60% on your core work, and don't put less than 40% on the overall understanding, preview and post view. What is it that you are doing? What are the supporting facts and figures? What are the supporting numbers? What are the supporting justifications? Quoting people who are in the field, quoting experts in the field, that gets value to you, whatever you do, whether you do these two or any other project. So that's why some of the numbers, whenever, especially when I address students, I like to put it. Even otherwise, it becomes interesting for people to know. Like when we talk of COVID, when we know that only 0.4% is affected, you get a different feel. Suppose it is 40% which is affected. Still, we are there to live on this thing, but the whole feel is different. So when we say something is affected, what do we mean by that? What does it? Anyway, we have to take action. But in what level we have to think is something which goes by the facts and figures, which as management experts, whatever you do, please ensure that you understand what is it that is being done, what is to be done. So here again, this is on a very this thing of the competitive advantage, because we got one of the best climates in the world. Nobody has got a better climate than India. Of course, because of the climatic conditions, we also, as much as agriculture, we also have a human, production, which is highest in the world. Okay, the amount of new humans which are born from India are really on the other side. So much is agriculture. But one good thing is the agriculture is enough to feed us for the next 200 years. We don't have to worry. Okay. It is not that we are going to be anywhere short. It is not, of course, the statement all may or may not agree. I'm not saying that everybody would agree to the statement. But since, at least we are aware of some more facts and figures which are there, because of which I'm making the statement. Others may feel that, when we have got desperately a 20 million going up figures of every year, what will happen after about 40 years, 50 years, when you multiply every year 20 million. Numbers are going to be really, really high. So something has to be done there also, independent of the fact that I'm confident that yes, there's enough things in terms of way to produce, whether it's agriculture or defense or whether it is any other sector which has to support. So we have our own competitive advantage, okay, in terms of production, in terms of its delivery mechanism, and and there are, nothing goes without a challenge. When you grow, you have got different challenge. When you're growing, we have got different challenge. Now, challenges when we were once importing, it's a question of when it will come, which ship it will come, how it can transport, so on and so forth. Today, the challenges are that there is excess production in XYZ place. Punjab may have excess production, Telangana may have excess production, or some other state in Assam may have excess production of X. How do we store it? How do we transport it? Where do we keep it? There is also a human element of theft, and there's also a degradation. There is also this question of excessive rains in some places where there's a godown and the whole godown gets full of gets flooded. It's a problem. There's also places where the godowns and the place is so hot that they cannot cool it, and so things go out of control. So these challenges are dynamic, and these challenges give rise to huge amount of work for people like you. Unlike defense, where things are programmed to a certain level. In agriculture, you can close your eyes and define your project. There is no problem. Okay, there is so much of thing because it is there for everybody. Everybody can have a feel. In defense, I don't think anyone of us got a feel of how a gun looks like, how a bomb looks like, how a battle tank looks like, how a a naval ship looks like, and how a naval aircraft looks like. Here, every aspect of it, we can have a feel. If not, you go to the nearest garden, how the agriculture, how they are producing, what they are doing, why they are doing. Okay. So, and but whatever is there in agriculture, one has to see in terms of its natural. Because many people in cities find it many times below the dignity to talk of agriculture. They feel agriculture is something which is, somebody at a lower level will do. Please come out of those syndromes. Today, agriculture is there for everybody. Agriculture is there for the growth of the country. Agriculture is there for your own growth. Okay. See what has happened in olden, not too long ago, many foreign companies, multinationals came to India, even degraded, Indian way of this thing. Today, they are more proud to say that I am doing this, which is Indian base. Today, I have so much people coming from Europe and USA saying that yes, we want to take this from India and put it there. We want to have this type of vegetation, put it there. Or in our own vegetation, can you send an expert who will guide us to see what we can do? Your own Professor Page is also as much a defense expert man and as much an agriculturalist. He got some beautiful ideas in terms of multi-layer growth and multi-dimensional growth and how to get permanent water from an arid land. So many things which is there, which are all part of agricultural development, agricultural growth, and agricultural sustenance. Because if agriculture has not been sustained, so see today the happy point is during this time, agriculture and telecom has come to our, what I would say, survival or our sustenance. Because these two people are the, like people you would always give full credit to the doctors, which I have no problem in giving credit to doctors. I had many shows with doctors. But the real people who have sustained us are these two. Telecom, because yes, I'm able to talk to you all. Last 2-3 years, I had to come, book a time, ensure that I start before time. And, you all also had to come. on this. Today, wherever you are, I'm sure some of you may even be sitting in a garden with a mobile sitting in front of you. I'm sure some of you may even be on a picnic somewhere, but we all can interact. There is no difference from going to the college, sitting in the classroom. There is still a problem. Agriculture, wherever we are able to get the minimum food. Yes, sad part, yes, there are still Indians who are not getting food at the right time, which independent of this, we all should see how we can help them, which also should be part of our topic maybe next year or so. How to make the last Indians, the sustenance on a good level. So agriculture, we should see that, global in innovation index, of course, we are supposed to be low in many things because, the foreigners themselves come and tell me that they like to put things in such a way that India is somewhere downgraded. Okay. This is something which many of you also should try to have an indexing level in which you put things nicely and put India in a good level. Because we are not nowhere as bad as, the way some of this ranking industry does. See, in education, how is it that always people say, oh, in the top 100, India does not come in picture, when all the top 100 CEOs are Indians who has come from the Indian education system, and we are all accepting it. And we are all proudly, loudly telling, oh, you see, we are so bad. How are you saying you are so bad? We are so good. And we are not being projected well. Same way, on the agriculture, we got such a good food. The thing we got, yes, there are, certain set of people who are not getting food. You take care of that separately. Don't try to mix it with things which are really good. So in many of these things, as students, you all also should know how to project it positively and properly when things are good. Yes, if I have a broken leg, I should not say that, no, everything is fine. I will run 100 meters in 10 seconds, which is not correct. But when I can run, when I'm running properly, and when I'm averaging, which is good, let me not, get into a position where somebody else is teaching me. Even this pandemic situation, whole world knows that India has done best. Today, our own people are trying to prove we are not done good and we are bad. Leave on the politic portion. I'm not giving credit to anybody. The Indians, as Indians, we have done extremely good. No other country in the world has got the type of facts and figures which India has got in this COVID situation. Same thing for agriculture. We are doing good. The type of complexity, the type of this and food, yeah, there are ladies. I mean, I'm not saying ladies are for food and cooking, but they have kept us whatever we are. So much of dramatic and dynamic processing is there. And agriculture is the base of that. If your food is good today, if you can go to a hotel and order anything and come, or go to whatever delivery chain, or have something in your home, that is because of agriculture. But the challenges is because of the way our expectations are going. Today, India, we all should know, there are many of the Indians are fond of the Chinese food. Now, when I give this food to a Chinese, he says, this is not my food at all. The names are Chinese food. So we have customized it so much to the Indian level that it is no more the Chinese food is a Chinese food. Okay. Whereas Indian food, wherever it is, it's an Indian food. There is no, coloring of this thing. So, but still, we would like to give the Chinese food credit to Chinese. I'm not wanting to take the credit. But we have customized, we have done, all comes from the agriculture sector. Agriculture, the number of vegetables, number of this thing, number of, just that oppose the way it is coming. And I heard some of the Indians have done these type of oppose even in USA. They have succeeded. And they are trying to market. So, which is what is an Indian brain. Okay, the dynamism, the dynamite inside the dynamic brain is what is pushing us into a, I'm using the word only because we just crossed over from defense to this thing. Otherwise, dynamite is not something which I would like to use. But, the dynamite portion means the blasting portion, the way we think, the way because we are talking, the slide is on challenges and opportunities. There are challenges, there are opportunities. Look at opportunities and grow. Keep on solving the challenges. That is what is the report's going to be. Fine. Yeah, even in this, I'm going to end by giving you various topics. Don't be limited by my whatever 25 topics I give, because I had to obey Professor Pake. When he says something is to be done, means without challenging, I do it. Okay. So I have put again 25 topics. But don't be limited by this. Go by something by which the report is self-sustained. the report gives enough knowledge around that particular thing. Let us not put anything which is too much deviating. And there's a core 40% content, which has to be really good. That can go up to 60%, never exceed 60% in terms of this. And also while making the report a little more bhashan on this, that last 20% of the time only give to your presentation methodology. Many times people go till the last day on getting data and on. I said your report will never be good, however good you are making. Last 20% you should only be on your presentation, because finally the person who, because also your examination is important. However much I may not be a believer in this examination, but the examination is important. So he is going to depend on the within 2 minutes time, how the look and feel of your report. The first few pages what you write, last few pages what you write, content what you write, which is what important. Whatever you do, make a one-page summary. Okay, and then the final report. The one-page summary should give the purpose behind what you're saying, why you're saying. In the report, first give full preamble and also give full conclusion. In between, the core portion has to have core contents. Some part of the core content, of course, should be highlighted in the beginning. So when I'm saying challenges and opportunities for this thing, whatever you're saying is the agriculture system are facing unprecedented confluence of challenges, requires more and better food and energy because of our perception and requirements. Okay, it is not because we can't live with just dal roti. Yes, we can still live with dal roti, but today's our expectations are high. Even with dal, we want better style. Even with roti, we want better style. Even with rice, we want better style. Then in that, there are so many things which are added. That means we have made our own life challenging because of our growth, because of the way our elders have made us expect something higher. Okay. And of course, when you say some of the word hazards and all, please understand that there are many few friends of us. They will go to a 7-star and 5-star hotel and say, "Hey, I got food poisoning." Okay. And many times I'm not a big believer in the 5-star and 7-star hotels, but I definitely know that they will not poison your food. That also I know, however much I may not believe. Now this fellow takes X, Y, Z, all are contradicting each other. He takes tea and then ice cream, then takes some this thing, then takes something, and then the naturally the stomach becomes bad. And those are the type of hazards which are happening in today. So that people are not hazardous because something really not good has come. That is because of the expectations and their type of way, which again could be a topic for you all. How to make life and make it more the same. Now, climate change, adaptation, and mitigation is the next slide. So, climate plays a huge role and a very major topic for at least few of your people. Because today, when an agriculturist is saying, he has to plan. One way is he has to feel everything is going to be ideal. Otherwise, he cannot sow the seed. If he thinks that every day there's going to be rain every day. But there are shocks and surprises. When he's expecting good rain, rain does not come. You cannot stop the production. Or when he's expecting this to come, it just floods. Still, he cannot do. Okay. So here, those challenges have to be done, one on a short-term basis and one on a long-term basis. On long-term basis, mostly has to be done by government. Again, you can make a separate report. How in certain areas, long-term this can be done, and how in certain area, short-term has to be done. Okay. Suppose some places today there are greenhouses also. That means I can have an artificial way in which I can control my temperature, atmosphere, humidity, and all, which I cannot do for larger areas. Okay. There, if you use Professor Page's technology of having multi-layered this thing, yes, in one green, so many things can be grown because he almost multiplies by factor of 7. He put 7 layers of food chain, which is good, but you have to see how cost effective, how much investment will be there, and so on and so forth. So in this climate change, we have to see that increase in sustainable manner, productivity, income growth in agriculture. Then second, of course, is support adaptation across the agriculture sector. Third is reduce wherever possible the greenhouse gas emission, and so on and so forth, which again are something which we have to see. Strategies of innovation for sustainable food and agriculture, which again means that there has to be sufficient R&D to be done. And then R&D does not mean that the tomato will be made into an onion or onion will be made into something. It is for tomato to be a better tomato. If you all know, that when we were young, many of these vegetables which used to come used to have worms, used to have something, used to be somewhere, when everything is good and you cut and inside that it is all spoiled. Today, those are all very few and very exception. So, but even that exception has to be removed because expectations are high. Okay, so that calls for a huge amount of R&D, huge amount of R&D. Okay, there in our young days, we could never imagine a grapes without the seed of the grapes. Today, there are seedless grapes are available. In fact, we find the market almost 80% of seedless grapes. Okay, so this are all because of the R&D which is done, because of the manures which is done. However much people may not like chemicals, even those chemicals have done their own good job. Today, of course, we don't want it. We want to make it organic. Okay, but it had given a stepping stone to come to some direction, come to some expectation, come to something. To that level, of course, let us not over criticize chemicals, which today is harmful because of the uh, magnitude of growth. Okay, they have a stepping stone for us to come to something. To that level we should be thankful, and above that, yes, we don't want to use this. So agriculture research is something where some of you should do, some at least 3 or 4 people should do on agriculture research. This is something which is for agriculture a very big need of the hour. Every aspect of agriculture, right till the irrigation level, has something to be gone, and many times this is regional level. You can have agricultural research separately for some part of Nasik, and second part of Nasik can be different. The wine growing part or grape growing part of Nasik can have different research. The vegetable growing can be different. Even in the vegetable growing, different vegetable, creeper vegetable can be different. This can be different, and it is continuous. It's not that these research are not done. They're all done. We all know. We can get standard report. But as you know, as we go further, things will be quite different. So in worldwide, I've tried to project how much India is doing and how much other bigger countries are doing. We are in touch. We are almost the 5th largest economy, and we are almost in the same bracket in terms of our agricultural R&D, because agriculture is a base for most of the countries. So this is something which one has to see, that it is a question of the lifestyle or the sustenance for the food, where we are talking of this. We have combined it with the forestry, aquaculture, crops, livestock, and so on and so forth. Which, from the agriculture point of view, how much to include livestock and all, you all can take a view. Better to avoid all those things, but to have a feel that the whole cycle all are required. Okay. So whether it is the fish on one side, or a cow on the other side, or a goat on one side, they are all part, or even when you say agriculture, the small worms which are there, they also play a role, which may or may not be that important. But if somebody wants to do that, how some of the birds which fermented, how they do, what they do, they are all side topic which are not compulsory topics. But one can think of even those. Because that day I saw one video or something where they said that some of these things constitute a huge part of the agricultural reproduction and agricultural manipulation, so to say. So, but I mean, I would not compel it on this, but in terms of continuity, I had to put few slides on these things. So there again, environment is something which is there, again not compulsory, but optionally some people can take up the environmental portion of agriculture. Economic and social, yes, definitely some people have to do, because it's something which is very, very important. As you all can see, this is again, from a continuity point of view, some of the slides are facilities for transition from sustainable food and agriculture to, see, just for example, one of the person in Bombay University, that lady, I don't know, the head or something, she has done a work for agriculture where she has developed a electron um, irradiation center, by which, according to her, something like an idli can be there for 2 years just by irradiation. 2 years fresh. Okay. So which is something very good for agriculture. I'm sure she should be somewhere. I mean, she belongs to Bombay University, so you have every right to ask detail. And somebody can do a full-fledged project report on that. She can take, can give all the inputs. So like that, there are so many innovative things which are done, which has to be highlighted, which has to be oftenly brought in as one of the good topics, which are which could be good for the good for you all, of course. Here I have put one on agriculture innovation systems, where you have to see from various, it is not only in commercial business that we talk of stakeholders. Here also you got different type of stakeholders. Today, even on this new agriculture policy also, I think somebody has to do a little work, not the controversial portion, farmer versus this, we should avoid as far as we are concerned. We should say what it is, how it is, why it is, and if something negative is there, yes, we should highlight it. We should not afraid of, we should not be afraid of saying anything is not good. It should not be basically the farmer versus government problem which is going on, some farmer versus government problem. So in the agriculture innovation system, it is something where somebody definitely has to do some work on this. Again, as I told you, in this innovation index and all, people like you should play a good role, because India does not get the type of ranking which it deserves. Always it is put almost 40–50% away from its ranking by just putting a priorities which are defined against India. I don't know why it is that way. And that we all have to work together to see that, at the same time, I do not want everywhere we to be manipulated to be first. No, but you should give what you deserve. It should not be that you are pushed, unfortunately, to a position of weakness just by somebody, comparing, you know, wrong parameters and setting up wrong priorities, or setting up relatively word it in such a way that somebody has to say something. Whether you bet your wife today morning means I didn't beat means yes, gotcha, so today morning you didn't bet, other time you're betting. So it's a question of how you interpret the question and how you interpret the answers, which is not what we should, which is what is happening in many of this thing. They're not wrong, but few places they are making questions which are not so supportive to India. I'm not saying all questions are wrong, because I have seen it happen in many places. Even when I was introduced as a software technology park, I was the first founder of a software technology park. I had all these difficulties. People are all trying to browbeat and downgrade India. Then I said, no, this is what we are doing. And don't call us a cheap labor. First, right from that I started. Others everybody, India will get everything cheap. I said, no, you will not get anything cheap in India. I said, you will get cost effective. The moment I change the word to cost effective, and then immediately from this side, I say India is a superpower on software. So the whole history changed, because then they said, oh, cost effective, oh, you're very good. That means I said, I can give you better product at a good price. Don't make me cheap. So same way in agriculture also. The way we are probably, downgraded in some places, people have to upgrade and put facts and figures properly in place so that we get the right place, what we deserve. Agriculture, yes, there is a FDI inflow, but we don't require too much of FDIs in agriculture. Whatever is there, yes, it is there. Agriculture is can grow by itself, because we have got all the strengths which are there. Suppose we talk of some field like electric vehicle or so many, we need FDIs. Whereas in agriculture is something which is so much human oriented. Even cold storages and all, they all can be done. Of the best grade, we can do it in India. Food processing industry may require some this thing, but again, for a typical Indian food, how will we have imported this thing? So we have to see, because food processing industry, like I told you about the electron gun, which can make an idli. I mean, idli is just an example. They given much of the food to stay for 1 year and 2 years, just by small radiation, and to fully tested. They have taken care of all the certifications which are required to know that it's not polluting the food itself. So same way, food processing industry has its own place. A lot of reports have to go for food processing industries, because food processing is something which is the real base to make the industry grow into a different dimension. There again, as you know, some of the facts and figures are right in front and are doing extremely well. Yes, this is a concern area. Today, as you know, many of the godowns report almost 30% loss in terms of the storage, which is the pathetic condition of the storage facilities in India. And it is something which, yes, good reports has to go. In what way we can minimize these losses and minimize the, transportation, keep the storing in a proper place and keep it in a proper condition. Now, when we talk of funding, of course, we come in picture in terms of the secured governance. In secured governance, as I have explained again, that's why I put it in the beginning, and same slide I put in the end also. That here we are talking of, again, as I say, untapped potential. Last is mini hub, nano hubs, and hubs. So these are all, like every field is a nano hub, and every city which is having some bulk. Nasik is a super smart city, we should say. And inside each, through value valuation, you can make things grow. Which means if I have even a mango plant in Ratnagiri or a grape in Nasik, how we can create a city out of each and see that the city's valuation keeps growing up with time because of the nearness of the center of, the core sector, and how they can give rise to a long-term sustained operation, which is what is secured governance. And it can play a dramatic role for, again, what is my idea of secured governance is we have to make a 200-year plan. That is what is 200 year. We know that on any account things will grow with all tsunamis coming, this coming, earthquake coming, pandemic coming. How we will take care and why we should do, how there will be continuous inflow is what is secured governance doing. And in that we are saying how the self-sustained economy is the end of the road for many things. And it doesn't conflict with anything. It is not one of those, because of this, you stop doing what you're doing. You do what you're doing and do this also. That's what is, there's nothing like, my way or highway. You can do this along with any other thing which you're doing. You take advantage of this and grow on a long-term economic growth. So that's why we are recommending something like agree. I want to do projects on this in a stream.
नेट चला गया आलम भाई नेट चला गया नेट चला गया यार तो अपने नेट बंद कर नेट स्लो हो गया अरे नेट स्लो हो गया आधा घंटे का नेट स्लो हो गया तो जूम रुक गया
Which is extremely good. That means you get a fresh food. Even when you are developing, it is still in the crop. It is cut by night, transported, packed, brought home. Okay. So those type of things are possible in today's technology, today's information, today's way things are streamlined, whereas it was not possible maybe a few years ago. This again, I put a range of 25 topics as per Sapag's advice. So it goes right from microfinance, capacity building, agro-business, entrepreneurship, forest management, and so on and so forth. But please don't be limited to by these numbers, by these suggested names. Yes, I have written a book on agriculture, which probably is there in your library. You can always take it and this is something which I said before. So I think with that, I will keep it open for Professor Pali and Professor Tandon to see what way one could go ahead, whether this is all making real good sense to take it to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I will do is I will just say the sequence first. We will open this for just for next 5 minutes. If any of our faculty members have to say something, then I will summarize what you have said, and then Madam will propose a vote of thank, or that's how it. Madam, is that all right?
Yes, sir. Sir, is it possible for students to ask any questions?
Well, the time is there, but let us see if they can. We had asked them to send it on the message count. Have any questions come?
Uh, Sushant would know.
So
Hello.
the questions
Ma'am,
have
not
come,
yet.
In the
because
meantime, sir, in the meantime, there are two
yeah, please, 1
aspects
minute.
that I would like to highlight. One
Please,
is Professor Page. If you remember, we had a keynote speaker from Sayadri Farms, the farmer producer company.
Correct.
So we are involved with agri businesses and that area of agriculture. And
Very
I'm glad about this presentation that we had, because unfortunately, when there were placements that came up in Sayadri Farms in marketing and sales, none of our students were interested, sir. So
Correct.
that is something perhaps we'll have to emphasize on, that this is an upcoming sector, and huge opportunities would be open for each one of them. Secondly, there would also be a scope of research based on hydroponics and aeroponics, which is coming up very strongly in India also. So that could also be added as one research area which students should take up.
Yes. Wonderful.
Dr. Sekhar, if you would like to add anything here.
No. I think I have done enough of my talk. Very good. I'm there to support whatever is required.
Any other faculty interested in speaking? Gupta sir aayat, or anyone else had to put in a question? Nitin sir has come, or any questions from any faculty?
Thanks, sir. I think this is absolutely apt, and students, these sectors are growing, and this is going to be the future. Students need to take interest in that.
Fantastic. Very well.
And they could choose their own topics are based on the list that are highlighted, and we will be too happy to guide them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Then I could sum up the talk. Madam, I will do the summing up of the talk now.
Right, sir.
See, I have forwarded the presentation in PDF as well as PPT to
Thank you, sir.
Madam and you, both of
Thank you very much.
And then
Thank you very
the live portion of this also is forwarded, so people can run through this again if whenever they want. So both are there with both of you.
Okay. So briefly, I will try to recapture what you have said, sir, and what is our take. So I know it's not an easy task, but I will attempt it all the same. So before thanking you, sir, because thanks is not enough, we are not at all terminating. It is only a beginning of the next thanks, because again, we'll be calling you and taking your help on this program. First and foremost, if I summarize the talk of defense sector, you had mentioned the various opportunities there, the various industrial expansion is taking place of this sector, and the need for setting up of defense hubs. The naval defense hub, as you mentioned, with Mazgaon docks in the picture, is already there being planned at Dronagiri. So that is one step to be taken up. And similar effort with Larsen and Toubro, Tata's, Mahindra's, and the Nasik HL factory could be thought of in these areas. One couple of areas that come up to our possible options are, of course, the idea of toys, marketing defense toys. I think production and marketing of defense toys could be a wonderful opportunity for the students, which we can think of. And that itself is a huge potential area. Then a defense solutions platform, a strategic solutions platform, and Professor Gupte and Madam, as she said, and Tandon Madam, with international contracts, both for design thinking, that is for designing, as well as offering innovative solutions, like the solution which I said was given for the famous Trident submarine. So that is the second area that we could think of. Then, as we know, a lot of defense employees every year, 100,000 personnel retire from the defense services. And the government has given specific grants to cover their post-retirement training and employment. I think that is another area that we could, especially because they have to come to their headquarters when they retire. So all naval headquarters people would come to Mumbai. So that is another talk that we can have with Mazgan Docs for what kind of training programs for employees, those who are retiring, can be taken up, and Varida madam can keep that in mind for training and development. The areas in defense are massive, but if we analyze our strengths and weaknesses, then as you mentioned, we have to think of one message of where can India be numero uno? Where can be number 1, 2, or 3? Because all over the world, that number 1 and 2 and 3 dictate whether it is education, whether it is defense, whether it is any industry. The number 1, 2, 3, the top ranking institutions and countries will dominate the markets and technology. So I believe that the concept of numero 1 can come after they analyze all these figures. What can really we do very well? Something which has got high tech input, something which has got high IT input. For example, all the Boeing aircrafts that are running are flying on software developed by HCL. That's fantastic. You can imagine every aircraft is having HCL software for flying. Can imagine the huge outcomes. So wherever we can be numero 1, we could take that as an area from analysis and start analyzing and putting it to people. Also, the general talk from what you mentioned, and the high line is that we are so good in so many things, but we never think about it. That is the purpose. The student has to have, how can he think from all the data? Where can we be very good? Where can we be dominating? Where can we be entrepreneurial? Where can we be innovative? And take that and build down that positive. And that's one positive message that you have said. Numero uno, and never say that things are bad, because that's not the way to go for preparing a project report. If we convert, these topics that we have thought before into develop them further, we will get number of subtopics as we find. Then we come to the agriculture sector, and it's a very weak point as far as I am concerned. So I will not try to add on any more idea other than what you have mentioned. But the fact remains that agriculture has the food aspect, the fodder aspect, the fuel aspect, which is the energy aspect, and it has the huge issue of storage, processing, packing, and forwarding. All these are various areas in agriculture. And these areas, with the advent of COVID, have found tremendous response. The market is very clear in what form they want to have it, totally in aseptic conditions, untouched. And so all those areas are very much dominating. So all these areas are open for options. Also, people are talking about digital farming abroad. So there is a possibility of how that digital farming is really applicable. There is a question of utilizing technologies like drones. How can drones be used? So all these, since we have there are 100,000 drones in Mumbai, and there is a drone tech with whom we are connected also. So all those new inputs could also be visualized as far as agriculture technologies are concerned. Then in the report you had given a very clear idea as to how the structure of the report should be, how they should spend time on preparation of data, preparation of presentation, data analysis, and also summarization, and putting the positives forward. In all these, what would be the climate impact? How are these? How is the sustainability? How are we reaching? How are we arranging for the last mile delivery that you mentioned, the weakest who are going without food? So all these issues which you mentioned, you also mentioned about safety nets in agriculture. What are the safety nets? If there is too much of rain, everything is washed out. How can that be considered? So safety nets in agriculture is an area. You mentioned about long life products. Yes, the BRC has developed these technologies. Very true. It's worth having a dialogue with them and trying to find out how onions they have worked already using irradiation on all year for improving the shelf life. Unfortunately, nothing much has been done in that context. You mentioned about what we call as urban agriculture. We mentioned about controlled environment. She mentions about sprouts and food processing, converting products into sprouts, what is called as micro agriculture. So these are all tremendously opportune areas where projects can be taken up. And you have given us a list of those projects, those products, those lists, that lists can be gone through, and we can prioritize. Uh, Also, as we have thought of a strategic platform for defense, there could be a strategic platform for agriculture and agribusiness, which can go on working on new ideas like long life products, which are also required for dairy purposes, because people want aseptic milk, aseptic products, new ideas in dairy products also can be thought of. So I suppose the potential for projects is absolutely humongous. As students go through the preliminary slides that they have prepared, they would, I'm sure, come out with their areas of interest. And then we may have separate interaction for agriculture separate and for defense, because both these are challenging areas. And then from that, we would ask the students to prepare their set of issues and problems and questions, approach you, and if you direct Ravi or someone to act as an intermediary, then on that basis we can move ahead. And Madam would be formally thanking you in the last 5 minutes that we have spent. But one thing is certainly, sir, that you have opened these two defense area, defense and agriculture, where in the past, I must say that we have erred in not working, because there are the soldiers the enemies at the border. We have now understood again after 65, 72, 62, 65 and 71, that we need to defend ourselves to survive. I think that has highlighted the importance of the defense sector. And with positive government policies, it is possible to work out a set of solutions and options, which will be challenging. And I have no doubt that in the kind of interviews that the students will face, this will be an interesting area. I think we have been marketing perfumes and cosmetics for a very long time, and garments and what have you. The other area is also open. So that's just a challenge, especially students who are from outstation. They are well versed about this. Agriculture is an area where they would definitely be interested. And as she mentioned about Sahyadri Farms, we will again be in touch with them, find out. They must have a lot of urban issues to be investigated for their products. And we'll start from the urban end to begin with, including controlled environment agriculture. And that's an area where, as you know, we have a soft corner. So we'll work on that. And together, we'll find out what solutions are and what best unique project reports students can prepare, and maybe their specialization also, whether they can extend this to work in those areas. So instead of one, they can do two projects, one for their, because they also do a project in their area of specialization. So finance, for example, agriculture finance could be a subject that they would take up. We'll try and explore those opportunities. So this is, sir, informally thanking you. Formal thanks, Madam Vilgir, for having shared the time, for having shared and collected this vast data. Your books are with us. Whatever books we fall short of, we'll certainly request you to send them to us so that students are kept abreast with the latest work that you're doing. And through secure governance, through positivity, through the approach of being how we can be numero uno, how we can be number one, how we can reach out to that last person who has not yet been fed or delivered, how we can look at that sparkle in the children's eyes when they see these toys, as she's madam said, as how they can be converted into digital games for building positivity. I think we will try and work that out. And this is thanking you, sir, for the spare time that you have spared. I now hand over to madam for her interaction and formal vote of thanks. Thank you, Dr. Sekhar. Dr. Madam,
Thank you.
Dr. Tandon, please.
Thank you, sir. Well, on behalf of Met Institute of Management, I would like to thank Dr. Sekhar for sparing his valuable time and sharing his words of wisdom on the topics today. Dr. Sekhar is an eminent secure governance and digital tech expert, and he has condescended to speak to our students and help them, support them, and guide them through the two topics which are so very valuable and of such strategic importance, which have been generally neglected by students all over. These are two areas where students generally don't work. I'm sure the insights that Sir has given to us, the valuable uh, 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 inputs that he has given to all of us, is going to work a long way in developing their projects. Sir, I thank you for sparing your time and creating such beautiful, impressive PPTs, which have been it has been very comprehensively full of information, a, a lot of information right from the beginning. The way you have created it has been really very interesting, and I'm sure it's going to be a very compelling and stimulating uh, project, I'm sure, for the students, because your PPTs have created that interest in it. You have really shared with us in a very lucid manner, in very simple language,
क्या भैया
everything that would have otherwise been very complex for others to understand.
हम कुछ नहीं
So,
करते
thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wisdom, your insights in a very simple way. And I'm sure our students are going to benefit from this.
4 बजे भी कुछ
And
सिखाएंगे
thank you for this opportunity that you're giving to our students to meet you, share with
हाँ
you,
ये बोले
share
बोला
and
था मुझे
learn
कुछ
from
ही
you.
सिखा
Thank you so much. We are really obliged. Dr. Sekhar has always helped us in the past, also last 2 years. It was smart cities and blue economy. Both the topics and subjects were absolutely new. Once again, we have two topics. One is agriculture, and the other that is defense and its surveillance. We do understand, students do understand and learn about agriculture, but the way the projects are going to take over, I'm sure it's going to benefit them in a long way. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for
I will just say that, sir, I'm sorry, we have not thanked Dr. Huck because very sweet of him for his foundation to have shared and spared the time for us. They have really doing these programs all over for the last 8 months. It's a very big compliment to you, sir, for the India policy policy program that you are conducting. It's a new way of interacting, and Huck Saab, we are grateful to you. Thank you very much. Very
yes,
kind of you. And I'm sure it is not secured governance. It is secured students placement also that you are being taught, that you're talking to. So it is not just securing the governance, but securing students future placement, because as they go to interviews, if they open these dimensions in an interview, the interviewer will convert itself into a student and they can talk about the subject. So it is what we call as battle dominance in defense. Kaya Gupta sahab, it is always a battle dominance that you have taught the students. So I'm sure that dominance will help them to take their interview to logical end. That's one positive, madam, is it not? Because this
yes,
area, if they start speaking, the
open.
industry would certainly sit up and say, okay, what is this? What is this cyber that you are talking of? What is the drone? What is this? So that may probably open up new avenues. So we are grateful. And on behalf of all faculty, my dear colleagues, madam, myself, and the trustees, we thank you, sir, and hope that this dialogue continues. And dear students, please don't worry. We'll send you all the uh, projects that sir has submitted to us. Give it all to you, work it up, and then we'll send you a questionnaire which you have to fill it in, and we take this next steps. Thank you very much. God bless. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, madam.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Yeah.